the book Wheels, part 10. Before we get into part 10, there's a few things out of the book I'm reading right now that I want to share. Here we go. This is entitled Security is the Greatest Illusion. Osho says to us, why do you choose slavery when freedom is available? Why do you choose the cage when the doors are open and the whole sky is yours? The answer is not very far to find. The cage has security. It protects you from rain, from sun, from the strong wind, from your enemies. It protects you from the vastness in which one can be lost. It gives you a shelter. It is your cozy home, and you don't have any responsibility of worrying about your food, or worrying about the rainy season, or worrying about whether tomorrow you'll be able to find nourishment or not. Freedom brings tremendous responsibilities. Slavery is a bargain. If you give your freedom and somebody else starts being responsible for your life, for your protection, for your food, for your shelter, for everything that you need, all that you lose is your freedom. All that you lose are your wings. All that you lose is the starry sky. But what was your soul? What were those wings for? I'm skipping over a little bit, but I want to share this one other passage out of Osho's book entitled Trust. It's called Learn the Art of Non-Doing. And Osho says to us, trust means being open, available, receptive like a womb. When you are open to the wind and the rain and to the sun of existence, when there is no resistance at all, when you are in a deep state of let go, that is trust. The state of let go, when you are moving with existence, just floating with the river toward the ocean with no idea of where you're going or where you would like to go, with no idea that you are so utterly relaxed with the river of life that you are no longer separate, just a ripple in the river, a wave, and that is trust. And this is one of the wonderful things about making these podcasts, videos or audio sessions that we can all enjoy together. You don't have to worry about putting it on a shelf or where the book was, where you heard it or read it from. You can just open up YouTube and select go on one of the beginning chapters, and it'll send you through all the other chapters as well. So just sit back and relax and enjoy what I'm about to share with you. We're getting towards the end of my book Wheels, and I feel that it's been a great journey sharing this with you. It's been my joy for sure. But anyway, here we go. Back to the text in the book Wheels. This is part of the conclusion. It says, this illusion you are living in seems to be real. So real that most people think that this illusion is the only reality. We live our lives filled with and surrounded with illusions, such as the illusion that we are strong or intelligent or powerful. The biggest illusion, however, is not knowing the divine. We've created so many illusions, but the source of all these illusions is the same: the mind, or more specifically, the ego-driven mind. We ask ourselves, how is this possible? Are we so self-centered that this self-centering is keeping us living in these illusions? Yes, with full certainty, I say yes. Let me explain it like this. Only a few people have tried to help you see the whole big picture, because only a select few have the consciousness to view it. Just as Einstein's theory of relativity was understood by a small handful of people while he was alive, only a handful of mystics could see the big picture of our spiritual development. And this does not mean that you cannot understand it. What it means is we just need more people of Einstein's quality to help you take it all in. Also, for you to understand it, you'll have to drop all conceptions of God that are in a singular form. In this way, God is like the ocean, completely formless except for the waves. Most waves are created by wind. They start their lives deep in the ocean. Then as the wind pushes the ocean surface, they build, forming a bump on the ocean surface, and these bumps on the ocean surface grow larger as the wave draws closer to the shore. All these waves, big or small, gather in a circular energy, a circular manner, and a center develops as the wave rolls over the rock or coral or sand. When the size increases, its mass and height, and it becomes hollow in the center. And when the water rolls over the hollow center, it crashes upon itself and forms a bundle of white water. This bundle of white water, this sea foam, as we surfers call it, this is the state that we are all in, that we exist in ourselves. It is just a bundle of white water rolling towards the ocean shore of death. We are totally unaware of our connection to the ocean. What we see comes from the ocean, but we are blinded from the truth, until one day when our eyes are opened. Right now, the ocean is invisible to us all. All we see is other waves in many different forms and nothing connecting them. All these perceptions feed our minds, and our minds exist on the periphery of the wave. Our minds cannot know our centers because the circumference never meets the center. Our minds work as a defense to help keep us safe from any person or any situation we feel threatened by. Therefore, it has to exist on the periphery. The mind cannot go to the center. It cannot be taken to the center. It becomes like an invisible shell. Although transparent, it still exists. We could not survive in the outside world without our minds, so this invisible shell is keeping us from knowing our true nature. The mind is useful when it comes to the world, but it becomes a barrier when it comes to spirituality or knowing the divine. All the energy that we use to defend ourselves creates a barrier 360 degrees around us. It creates a shell, and if this shell is always around us keeping the bad out, then we are subconsciously keeping out the good as well. If a shell is always keeping us safe, then the question is, can I survive without the shell? When the shell is dropped or dissolved, a flood occurs. Now the water from the ocean can enter you, and vice versa, your water of your soul can enter into the ocean. To know the source of life, we turn in and we become aware of the source of the rotating energy while we are living. In the East, they have associated this rotating energy with the ego. The ego develops from the feeling of power generated by this circular energy. So I say then it is more than just the ego. Dropping the ego is only the first step. We still have to come to the real source. The real source is oneness. But how does this come into being? We are made up of mostly water, therefore it is really quite easy for us to conceptualize a feeling of unity with the ocean. Perhaps when we die, we could feel more connected to the sky than to the ocean. So why not take this opportunity given by life and use life as a door? So far, we cannot confirm if this opportunity will happen when we die. But there are people alive today, existing among us, who have become one with the ocean. It would appear the connection with the ocean is not possible while this circular energy is present. The ocean cannot enter the wave, and the wave cannot enter the ocean unless the circular energy forming this individualism is stilled. Unlike ocean waves, we have the ability to still this circular energy. If an ocean wave stopped spinning, it would no longer be a wave. It would die, and this is where we differ. Mankind is the highest form of spiritual wave. We are of this earth, yet we are also something more. The path towards stopping circular energy is inward, not outward. At our center, there is no movement. Like the eye of a hurricane, our center is peaceful and calm, and this is why you feel at ease when you are not using your mind. We call this stillness centering. Just as a hub on a wheel is never moving, our center never moves. When you are stressed, you are further away from your center. Most people live their whole lives on their circumference or in their minds, never even aware that a center of calmness exists within them. This center within you is the path back to the divine. Some cultures believe this center is in the brain, while others believe that the heart is the real center. Cultures in the East believe the center is in the belly, and I agree with the Tao. The Tao says that there really is no true physical center, although there is a spiritual center. If you go in search of a center, you will not find one. Remember, the force of the circular energy that creates an opportunity for your center to exist. The spinning energy is exactly like a wave spinning energy. If you stop the spinning energy, then where would the center be? If a hurricane stopped spinning, where would the eye be? It wouldn't have one. It would not exist. Without energy rotating it, if we had individual centers that could not be dissolved, then we would never know the whole, the divine. Once this circular energy is completely stilled, the nature of water and the nature of God act the same. God rushes into us just as water from the ocean can rush into the wave. And we as the wave also rush into God. And this is the real nature of existence. And this is what meditation is all about. Meditation can do this by stilling the wheel of the mind, or the circular energy within us. We go inward in meditation first towards the center. And when we reach this place where there is no movement, the center dissolves into the whole ocean. Just as a hurricane dissolves, the storm of the mind dissipates, then the blue skies disappear. The blue skies appear. Sorry about that. And for the first time, you will know what bliss is. Everything away from the center is worldly. Energy focused outwardly goes in a million directions, leaving you exhausted and feeling separate from the divine. These things, such as power, ambition, are great for worldly matters, but for a divine union, however, one has to turn in 180 degrees inward towards your center. Once the turn inward is made, then all the energy that was lost going outwards multiplies and becomes a single-pointed energy. You could say it becomes a flame. Once the flame is lit, then the lure of the divine becomes so strong that these matters of your world, the spinning wheel, no longer have a pull. If at this point in your life you feel that you are not ready to make the turn inward, then go ahead and chase after your desires. Chase them with all your heart and your soul. But be total in this chase, and you will see that these desires will never fulfill you. If the chase is done totally, one day you might come to your senses and make the turn inward. This turning in is what we call meditation. And meditation is the most mystical thing that you can do. It combines both being with non-being, life with death. Nothing else can do this except for sleep. In sleep, we let go of our consciousness and enter into our non-being. This letting go of consciousness while asleep energizes our souls and gives us energy for the coming day. As beautiful as sleep is, it only slows down the wheel by stopping it for a few seconds while you sleep. As beautiful as this is, the work done while you are unconscious, somewhat like a surgeon, God comes in and enters your unconsciousness and your unconscious soul and does the work. Meditation has a different feel because the quality is different from the quality of sleep. While you sleep, a small window of opportunity opens up. It is like a pinhole in the shell that you call your mind. Even though this shell is invisible to you, it is blocking 99% of the love energy that you could be available to. But still, sleep opens up a small hole. And for a few seconds, the mind stills and becomes receptive to the divine. You might have a similar experience while conscious as well. Runners and other sport extremists have a glimpse of stillness of the mind when participating in their activities. Us surfers dwell in this openness or the stillness while we surf. For me, it is a game to see how long I can surf without letting thoughts in. I'm not trying to block the thoughts. I just focus on the ocean and become a watcher. When I'm out there just watching the waves just seem to be drawn to me. Other people surf with, I say, or say, hey man, you sure do get a lot of waves. And it's true, but I can say the vibe I put out is what helps me get those waves. Once when I lived on the East Coast in Virginia, I pulled up to one of my favorite surf spots called First Street. That particular day, it was very crowded, and I would say there were about 50 or more surfers in the lineup. And that meant for every wave, I would have to battle at least 10 or more surfers for every one of those waves. And I remember saying to myself, I would be lucky to catch 3 waves at the most. So I just put that thought out of my mind and paddled out amidst all the crowd of surfers. And I just focused out into the ocean. I let the ocean clear my mind, and I surfed wave after wave. And there were surfers cursing because they could not get a wave, or every wave they took off on had several other guys on it. But by watching the ocean, I could see that the waves, and I could see that the waves sometimes would have characteristics, and sometimes I would see the second wave in the set look better. So I just waited for that wave. It did not work every time, but 9 times out of 10, when I rode a wave, I rode it with no one else on it. The crowd only focused on the first wave and not the whole ocean. When the first wave of the set comes through, everyone would turn in battle for that wave, leaving the second or third wave wide open for those with a little more awareness. I must have caught 15 waves that particular day. I walked back to my truck full of stoke and with a huge smile on my face. And one can experience extended moments of stillness while conscious. In the East, they call these moments Zen. While you sleep, the moments are there, but they are minimal, almost something like a pinhole in the shell of a chicken egg. Once you realize this shell is keeping out so much bliss, then dropping it or dissolving it will become your main focus. Dropping the shell is as easy as opening the door. But you have been carrying this shell around since childhood. Deep inside, you might be afraid to open this door. Who knows what you are going to find? I say let people sleep and be the clue that leads you into your meditation. And this is why I shared those words from Osho's book earlier about trust. I mean, you have to, give yourself and trust yourself enough to experiment and get into your own being. And it does take a big leap of courage. Anyway, back to the text. You've been living your life every day and every night, getting by 1% of God's bliss. You're just surviving. Some seem to be starving. Those who seem to be starving often find that they are not sleeping well. Meditation's quality changes all that. Meditation works first by enlarging the pinhole and by creating gaps of silence in your consciousness, in your conscious mind. Then secondly, meditation decreases the thickness of the shell by creating more awareness. The more you meditate, the more you work on eliminating the shell. Thirdly, meditation helps you to stop the circular energy that is forcing you to have the shell in the first place. Those who meditate are consciously allowing or opening a space for the divine to fill themselves with bliss. And this is in proportion with the time that you put into it. So you reap what you sow. Experienced meditators often find that they need less sleep because what happens in sleep can now be amplified. You were surviving on 1% of bliss, and now depending on how open you are, there is no limit to the amount of bliss that you can experience. To me, the practice of meditation is not arduous. It is a sheer joy. I look forward to each time where I am given a chance to dissolve into the ocean. It's hard to believe, but you were not created to roll all the way to the shore the whole time, not knowing the source from where you came. Even if you were so unfortunate as to have this happen to you, God made a fail-safe. If you discovered the mystery of dissolving into the ocean before you crashed onto the shore, then you became God's eyes, God's ears. You became a Christ. You became a Buddha, a walking incarnation of God. See, when a wave crashes onto the beach, the energy splits into two. What belongs to the sky goes ashore, and what belongs to the water goes back into the ocean. Watch a wave and you'll see the energy goes backwards and returns to the sea. The same happens with the soul when death comes. If you go inward, then you return to the ocean. If you go outward, then you enter into the spirit world. If you enter into the spirit world, then all is not lost. You can still enter through the enlightened one while he is still alive. This is so because the enlightened one is the door to the divine in the spirit world. This is what Jesus meant when he said that the only way to the Father is through me. He could see and feel many souls who went outward instead of inward. This happens to every enlightened soul, and this is why God has always kept at least one enlightened soul alive since the beginning of time. If you were not meant to live this way, but just in case you did, a back door was always left open. If only you would have listened to the enlightened one, he or she could have brought a new meaning to your life. You could have experienced this inner world, this life of bliss, when one returns to the ocean long before the shore of death ever comes. A Jesus is the door. A Buddha is the door. And so can you become one as well. Everyone is a door for the spiritual energy to return to the source from which it came. The only difference is your door is sometimes closed, and the energy cannot complete its journey. It must have felt it when someone close to you passes away. A rush of energy enters you, and only you were not receptive to it. But if you were receptive to it and you became aware of it, then it is the most beautiful feeling in the world. You can feel the energy of that soul returning to the earth through you. But if you're scared, then the doors will close. Now, I cannot promise that everyone who meditates will be able to stop the wheel completely. The complete stopping of the wheel is very subtle. You might think you have stopped it, but in reality it is still moving very slowly. Somewhere there is a desire or a fear still lingering over you. Even if you go in search of the hidden desire, you may not find it. This hidden desire, it may have been embedded in your subconscious when you were very young. You can go into deep meditation, but just as a root exposed to the sun dies without darkness, your desire will dissolve. When brought under the light of meditation, not every person who meditates will know this, but every person who has stopped the wheel completely knows that he is a wave whose energy is rushed into the ocean, and the ocean is rushed into the wave. From that moment on, you can no longer call yourself a believer of God. You will have known the ocean, the whole ocean, and that ocean is God. The knowing is different from believing. This is the wholeness of Taoism, and it begins with accepting life and death as one, and accepting everything good or evil, right or wrong, as an experience to grow from. And do not wish it any other way. What has happened for a reason. Trust me, you would not be the person you are today if it had happened in any other way. Live your life in its totality, and there will be no desire for any future life here or any other place. This is not to say that you will not have a future life. Rather, once the whole is known, the desire evaporates. It just disappears. From then on, you will know you are and always have been eternal. Accepting your non-being does not mean committing suicide. This would only tie you to the chain of time, and you will have to start all over in another life. Make use of your experiences here in this life and accept everything, everyone, and every experience you have incurred. If you do, then your life will have meaning. Otherwise, your life may seem meaningless, or if you have been searching for the meaning of life, this only means that you have not lived totally. If you can be like a bee and collect honey from each experience, your life will be full of bliss. If you go through life not benefiting from your experiences, then you will feel meaningless. And don't let this meaningless control your life. The change is subtle. It takes just a little effort for most people. If you are living 85% of its fulfillment, then it is not too large of a gap, just 15% more of your life to be lived totally. Trust me, the effort is worth it. Still, many live in this 80 to 90% sort of lukewarm way, mostly because of fear. And it is this fear of the unknown that induces laziness. Remember the story where I took my girlfriend surfing? And surfing in big waves? It was the fear of the unknown that inhibited my friend from making it past the huge walls of whitewater. All that was needed was for me to show him that what it was like on the outside past all the walls of rough whitewater, where one is safe. One is safe on the shore, but nothing is gained. You cannot collect honey by sitting on the shore. You will first have to face your fears, and then you have to get a little crazy and let go of them. Then work your way past all the whitewater and discover for yourself what it is like on the outside. To a surfer, the outside is bliss. To a meditator, silence is bliss. And in reality, this applies not only to surfing and meditation, but also to every aspect of life. All of life, it can be a moment or an opportunity to gather bliss and to gather this honey, this beautiful essence that makes life wonderful. And Lao Tzu's secret to living is so simple. It is because of his simplicity that people miss the secret message that they cannot believe or they refuse to believe, that everything needed to come home or to be enlightened is right inside of you. You had it all along, but your whole life it was kept in the dark. So here it is. Live totally. This is the only real secret to life. If you are from the West, do not live in a lukewarm life praying for this and that. This type of living is really only an 80% effort. If you make every single moment a prayer, then you will be living totally. Offer your whole life as a prayer and live in this godly experience. Then you will understand the way of the Tao, or you will understand Lao Tzu or Jesus. If you are from the East or have an Eastern mind, then live every moment in meditation. Let everything you do become a meditation, even eating your food, even working in the yard or playing. And being in this sort of mindset bring this sort of mindset to the forefront. This is what Buddha called mindfulness. Do not seek a shortcut from where some guru or some magic from some person lost in God's echo. They have lost themselves trying to understand the magic of some pyramid. Do not seek shortcuts, even if we discover how we came to be from them, or how we have descended from those who built the pyramids. So many people are drawn into this trap. If you say to yourself, I am neither Western nor Eastern, I am just in the middle, not knowing who is right or wrong, then do not worry, for you are a newer soul, fresher than those steeped in conditioning. For you, I say, practice awareness. Let awareness be your religion or your spirituality. Become the one who is listening, and to the listener, become the one who is talking or taking a back seat and watching the watcher. Pray, but remember, the one you are praying to is already a part of you. Pray for courage, pray for awareness, and pray for understanding. But just be total in your prayer. Even 1 hour of living life in totality will bring understanding and light into your life, like that of the surfers enjoying the surfing lifestyle. Every surfer who can hold his own in a lineup can do so because he has earned it. His love for surfing, his love for the ocean, and his love for his fellow surfers is forging into his soul, and is forging his soul into a diamond. This type of soul knows there are no shortcuts, no easy ways, and there are no secret back doors. A diamond can only be forged through the heat of experience, and this experience comes only through totality. The same holds true for the spiritual quest. In order to reach the core of the center of existence, or the innermost shrine, call it God or give it whatever name you wish, it is your destiny to become total. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. The Tao says in your actions, right or wrong, just be total. What may seem right at this moment may turn out to be the wrong at another time. What might seem wrong at this moment may seem right in another moment. I no longer differentiate between right and wrong, because with hindsight, looking into my past, those wrong decisions or actions have helped me to grow, or they have enhanced others' lives in ways I could not see at the time. Sometimes with hindsight, we are able to see our interconnectedness with existence. Every action, every thought, and every emotion can bring forth transformation when done or felt in totality. Not caring about some unknown heaven or liberation from the wheel of life or death. Those brave souls already know what heaven is. They know because they are living in it. It is right here. John Lennon conveyed this message when he wrote this song, and now I'm here sharing it with you and sharing how I felt about the song. I really hope you enjoyed this session. I really appreciate anyone that's taken the time to listen to all the chapters. And I find it very meditatively just to listen to the words myself. I know I sometimes come off as a little monotonous, and that might put you into a state of trance, or into a state where relaxation comes about just from listening to these words. But anyway, again, thank you for joining me. Much love. Aloha. My name is Douglas Grumlins, and this is the end, the last chapter of Wheels, Part 10.